special post-game show coming up tonight. Of course, Ryan and I will be on at halftime. But on the post-game show tonight, we're going to be joined by both Amir and Christopher as they are the winners from the last 5 games of the Sacramento Kings. We thank them very much for their Super Chat donations. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight on the post-game show, but don't forget to join us on the pre-game show as well as the Kings take on the Toronto Raptors to close out this homestand. But in a moment, Jerry Reynolds will join us. Yes, indeed. Holy moly, Jim Bob Bowley. Jerry Reynolds joins us because it is Wednesday. Jer, how are you?
I'm feeling great. Just beautiful sunshiny day here in Roseville. Had a nice walk. Things drying out. So, and the Kings in third place. Hey, can't be much better.
Not only are the Kings in third place, but I talked about this today on my rants. What's amazing to me is they have a 5-game cushion now in the loss column over the 5th place LA Clippers. When you look at the standings, that's incredible. Third place, Jerry, at 27-19. Then New Orleans, who obviously has had some brutal injuries. They do get Ingram back, though, but Zion's still a couple of weeks away. They're 26-22. And then the Clippers, Jerry, in 5th place have 24 losses. Dallas has 24 losses. They're in 6th. Phoenix has 24 losses. They're in 7th. That's pretty amazing. That's a hell of a cushion with less than half the season remaining.
It really is, and probably the only one there that scares me a little bit moving up, the challenge of the Kings would be the Clippers, even though it's a 5-game gap, as you pointed out. But the Clippers have played, I think, quite a few more road games than have the Kings. And so that
they have
usually, and then, of course, they haven't had Kawhi and Paul George together any length of time yet. Now, whether that'll continue, if it does, they're going to win games.
Well, they have had 26 road games. The Kings have had 20. I actually think the Kings, to me, I think their best basketball of the season has come on the road rather than at home. I mean, the Kings have a winning record on the road, which I think is so significant. It's the numbers wouldn't tell you that. They're 11-9 on the road and 16-10 at home. 16-10 at home, it's not bad, but the Kings have had a lot of bad losses at home. Charlotte, Washington, Atlanta. The Lakers came in on a second of a back-to-back and scored 136. Philadelphia the other night without Embiid and Harden. I mean, they've had some real blemishes at home this season.
Well, and you're right. I mean, they're one of the rare teams. I think only maybe 4 teams have winning records on the road.
Correct.
And so that's that if that continues, and I always say when you look at the road record at the end of the year, that'll tell you who's likely a contender for the championship. I mean, there'll be 3 or 4 teams with winning records on the road, and the champion will come from that team. That's why if I was a Warriors fan, I'd be very concerned about where they are right now. When you look at, they just have not played well on the road at all.
No, they're 6-18 on the road. And again, we're putting the cart ahead of the horse, but you brought up the Warriors, so I'm going to bring them into the conversation right now. They're currently 10th with 23 wins and 24 losses. I just put it. I don't really care what place you're in the West. Nobody's going to want to play the Golden State Warriors in the first round of the playoffs if they're healthy. Okay, right. Let's just call it the way it is.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they are the defending champions. And they've got the guys that did it still. For the most part, they've lost some reserves, and that's been a little bit of the issue besides injuries. But, you wouldn't want to play Golden State. Any team that's got Steph Curry on it. And you better be afraid, be very afraid.
And the other team is the Clippers. You bring up a good point. If they're healthy, they're going to be a really tough out. Again, I don't really care what the seeding is. It's all about health when the postseason begins. And here's the other issue. Other than Denver, and I'm also going to include Memphis in there when they're healthy, there's no difference to me. And when I mean this, I don't get pissed off, Kings fans. When I say there's no difference, there's very little difference between the rest of the teams fighting for the playoffs in the West. There really isn't. I mean, if you take a look at all the teams in the West, assuming they're healthy, the difference between the 10th place team and the Kings in third, it's a very small margin, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you've got to be concerned there. And I mean, when you look at the Phoenix Suns, their record and where they are right now, and that's a team that won 64 games last year.
Uh-huh.
And for the most part, they've had some injuries, but now they're starting to win. And of course, if Booker comes back, so that's why I say the Warriors and the Suns and certainly the Clippers. The reason I
Yep.
say the Clippers is because they have no team can match their two best players. You know, maybe LeBron and Davis when they're healthy, but I mean, I just think with Paul George healthy and Kawhi Leonard, I think that and when if you're not sure how to bet, always bet on the most talent on the
Well,
floor.
and just remember, New Orleans was rolling before their injuries. Ingram is coming back. He's been out for a significant period of time. And Zion Williamson eventually is going to get back on the floor. Now, with Zion, he's a lot like Anthony Davis. You don't know how long he's going to stay on the floor. But here's what we do know about New Orleans. When those two were on the floor together, that team was really the number 1 or number 2 team in the West.
Yeah, they can be 10th, and if those two guys are healthy, there again, you would just wouldn't want any part of them. And
Okay.
I saw them play several games, together when they were healthy, and McCollum. I mean, shoot, that's a tough out there.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the Kings as they wrap up this homestand tonight at Toronto. Let's start with the rook, Keegan Murray. Boy, is he playing well, Jerry.
Oh, he's just getting better and better. I'm not surprised by that. I mean, just the way he was in summer league. The longer it went, the better he got, and he had his rough patch like most rookies do, but getting more aggressive. I think we both espoused that he wasn't aggressive enough on the boards, and he wasn't. Now he is. He's doing a great job rebounding. His defensive instincts, I think, maybe are as good as anybody other than Davion Mitchell on this team, and so yeah, boy, fits perfectly, and he and Sabonis are getting more on track together. Where Domas is able to kind of find different guys and all that, but now he's really got a kind of a knack of finding Keegan.
Sabonis is pretty amazing. Even when he doesn't really play well, he still puts up numbers. He's a stat sheet filler. I mean, he's so good. I mean, the other night was a great example. You and I were discussing that he didn't really play that well, and yet he ends up with a triple-double. It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
It really is. I think it's the worst game he's had as a King. He had a triple-double because he just had too many turnovers and
Yeah.
really didn't finish at the rim a little bit. But of course, that's a great sign. I mean, when you can really be off your game and have a triple-double, but he has spoiled this. I like to say, I truly enjoy watching him play because he really does bring it every night, best he can. I don't care how great a player is, they're going to have off nights.
They are going to have off nights. And what's nice about what's going on right now with this team, it seems like there's now that third guy. For a couple of nights, it's been Harrison Barnes. Then you look at Trey Lyles the other night, or, I like the fact because you got to be very careful. Yeah, it's a star-studded league. We get that. And Fox and Sabonis have been really there. Sabonis has been the most consistent and the best overall player. But Fox in the fourth quarter has been just incredible this year. But now I like the fact that other guys are really contributing as well. This team's got a chance. They got a chance to be pretty damn good here. I think in the months of March and April, heading into hopefully the postseason. It's going to be fun to watch.
Well, it is. They are a fun team to watch. And when the bench is good, which they were against the Grizzlies, as you pointed out, Trey Lyles was terrific, and he's been good for a while. And got some good minutes out of Rashawn Holmes. Monk looked like Malik Monk again. And I thought that was a game where really Fox and Sabonis just weren't at their best.
Yep.
And they were able to win. And I think that's a great sign for this team. And, Harrison Barnes has been an all-star here this month, that's for sure.
Somebody wants to know what do we think about signing Monte McNair, finally stability. I've been talking about this for months, okay? I think the fans worry about too many things. I really do. All right, he was working under contract. He began the year, with one season left on his deal. These things normally get worked out during the season. I made this comment last week or 2 weeks ago when fans were bitching and moaning about it. I said, how do you know that they're not discussing it right now? These things just don't happen like that. There's negotiations. There's things that have to go on. I personally think fans were getting all uptight when they didn't need to be uptight. That's just my opinion on it. Again, he had a whole year on his deal. I do think the stability is good. I think it's a good message for everybody, but I think the fans got a little bit too overexcited about this. That's my thoughts. What about you, Jerry?
Well, I mean, I thought it was a good idea. It's fine. If they'd wanted to
Yep.
wait later, then they're taking some risks. Uh, I think Monty has done a terrific job and is deserving of the extension.
Hmm.
Let's put it that
Agreed.
way.
Agreed.
He's a very bright, calculated guy. I don't think if he's made mistakes, they've been pretty minor ones for the most part, and made some terrific, solid moves. So,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, stability is great if you got the right people to be stable with.
Yep.
And I think and my opinion is that Monty McNair is a guy you really can be stable with. I think he's a legit basketball guy that's proven that he kind of knows what's going on. I love the fact that ridiculous rumors don't come out of the front office with the Kings anymore, and I mean it have to go back to Jeff Petrie's days when and I think that basically Monty's a Princeton guy like Jeff was, and they don't say or do anything that they haven't thought it out completely.
That's a very good point. So at least the fans don't have to worry about that anymore. And again, I didn't think you needed to worry about it in the first place, but now you really don't have to worry about it because he and Wes Wilcox are signed, sealed, and delivered. All right. So tonight it is Toronto, and this goes into the category again of a game that the Kings really should win, especially with Anunoby listed as questionable. We don't know if he's going to play or not. But this is another one of those games that go into the category of you need to win this game, period.
Sure do, and it'll be a tough one because certainly they with Pascal Siakam is one of the best players in the league, and certainly Van Vliet. They've got some guys that can Trent Jr. I mean, they've got some guys that can score. They to me they're one of those teams that's played underneath what was expected. They're certainly having Anunoby out a great deal, which he has been. I don't
Yes.
know all the particulars there. And of course, the Scotty Barnes is rookie of the year and really emerging and can emerge as one of the top players in this league within the next couple of years, in my opinion. So, yeah, you're going to have to play well to beat these guys, and certainly the Kings are capable.
Is this a, I'll say, weird, atypical, unusual year in the whole West? I mean, you have that one team right now, Denver, who's really emerged as the team, at 34-14. And I want to see how Memphis does now without Steven Adams for 3 or 4 weeks. But they're really good at 31-16. But then you get to Sacramento, New Orleans, the Clippers, Dallas, Phoenix, Utah, Minnesota, Golden State. All these teams, and I really shouldn't even include Sacramento there because Sacramento's been the one team, Jerry, and you keep on pointing this out. They've been the healthiest team in the league. They haven't had any bad injuries. And I don't consider Sabonis' injury a bad injury because he didn't miss any time. He missed one game. So I don't include that in that category of bad injuries. But the West is really, it's just not that good this year. I mean, I hate to say it. It's just a reality. Denver's really good. Memphis, when they're healthy, looks really good. But everyone else, the West is just down this year, are they not?
Oh, I think so. I think you probably got 4 teams in the East better than anybody in the West, and I mean it's just reversed itself from past years. Whoever comes out of the East may be so beat up that whoever comes out of the West may,
Yeah.
may be in great shape. I just when you look at Boston and Philly and Milwaukee and I mean there's some really good teams there, and I just. I think it's going to be a tough slog in the East, and it'll be tough in the West too. But as you pointed out, I agree with. I think Denver is a notch above everybody else, and I don't see them too scary. By the way, I would mention one thing about Denver. It's great seeing David Adelman,
I know. Wasn't that great?
coaching Mike Malone's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, and then
I loved it.
I'd mentioned. Yeah, I loved it, and they won a couple games, and
We
his
watched
top
him grow
assistant
up,
was
Jerry.
Ryan Saunders, who was
Yeah.
Flip Saunders' son. So two of my favorite people.
We watched David grow up. We watched him as a little kid grow up. You know.
Yeah, it's I always say, it's one of those things to where knowing David and Coach Adelman, I mean, he's carried his own water. I
Hmm.
mean, he worked for Coach Adelman some in after the Sacramento days, but he really is one of those guys that I think certainly as head coaching jobs come open, he should be considered. Don't know that he would.
Yep.
You just don't know what owners are looking for sometime. But his track record of being the top assistant to a top team now for several years. But we both talked about. I mean, why Elston Turner's never been considered for a
I
top
know.
job. I'll never
I
understand
never
it.
understand that. All right, crazy question. Can we afford to rest our players, Sabonis, Fox for one game, keeping them healthy as we're going into the playoffs? That's a bunch of nonsense. Okay. If you're able to play, you play. All right. If you're healthy, you play. If they feel like they're have an injury that needs rest, then they'll rest them. They've already done that with De'Aaron Fox this year a couple of times. So don't worry about it. It's a non-issue. We're talking about guys that are not even yet really in their prime. They're not yet in their prime. They're young, well-conditioned athletes. I know, Jerry, it wasn't too long ago that we never used to have to talk about this crap, and guys were expected to play 82
No.
games a year, and they did play 82 games a year.
Yeah, no, I reading some quotes from Pat Riley, and he was saying pretty much that. He said, in the 80s and 90s, basically the difference in the game, a lot of difference in the game, but from players' point of view, they took a lot of pride in trying to play 82 games,
Yep.
all of them.
Yep.
The top players wanted to play every night, and sadly, it's not the case anymore. And I blame Greg Popovich for that, and
I do too.
and he started it. I mean, a great coach, but the idea that you don't have to play games when you're healthy, I think is a terrible thing. I mean, no different than if any other employee, well, I'll rest today. I won't come into work, type stuff. And so anyway,
Well,
I know I'm old school on this, but
no,
Steve Kerr had rested four guys in Cleveland and top guys, and of course they won. But I thought it interesting. Then he said, well, he hated to do it, and the
please.
league needs to just be 72 games. And I'm thinking, well, what difference does that make? If you're going to rest key guys, you just, instead of playing 60 games a year, they'll play 50.
It's a joke. Steve Kerr to
Anyway,
me
I got that out of my system. I feel better now.
no. Steve Kerr to me is disrespecting the league. He's disrespecting the game, and he's basically giving the middle finger to the fans. Okay, that's what he's doing. He did it twice this year in New Orleans. They only make 2 trips to New Orleans a year. They were within 3 weeks of one another, and he rested all of his key guys in New Orleans. You go to Cleveland once a year, you do the same thing. He did it in Toronto. We can go on and on. He's giving the middle finger to the fans, and I'm so tired of Steve Kerr talking about how much he loves the fans and blah, blah, blah. He's disrespecting the game. He's hurting the brand. He's hurting everything about the league. He's putting a bad taste in people's mouths. It's bad for the league. There's just no other way to say it. It's bad for the league.
It is, and Adam Silver, the commissioner, and the head of the Players Association need to get on board. It's because the Players Association, they're hurting themselves too. They're hurting the product and how the fans view them. So I blame both of them. I mean, there's no reason to not come up with a plan to eliminate some of that. And
Yep.
it's it's a stain. I mean, certainly other sports, I think right now take more pride in getting on the field.
Well, 72 games equals a 15% salary cut. See how the league feels. Yeah, well, you're not only cutting salaries, you're doing that. It's all a domino effect. But so you're telling the owners, okay, that you're going to have 5 less home games, 5 less games of parkings, 5 less games of concessions. We can go on and on. 5 less games, of the TV money. It's not happening. Steve Kerr's got to wake the hell up here. Steve Kerr needs to do what
Well,
basically most of the teams are doing, and that's play your guys. What, Jerry?
play your guys. Play your guys.
Right.
If they're hurt, then don't play them. And that's pretty simple, really. And as you pointed out, one thing about the collective bargaining agreement with the NBA, one of the fairest I know of, because it's a 50-50 pretty much arrangement. So you cut games, then you cut the revenue coming in, and you divide it by 50%. So as one gentleman pointed out, be a 15% reduction. Well, it may be even more than that. You just don't know. But it is certainly the players, and that's why it won't go to 72, because the same guys who want to rest games will not want to give up a dime, and so that's a moot point. It's not going to 72. It's going to stay at 82, and that's it.
And I don't hear Steve Kerr bitching and moaning in the summer when his players are playing in the Olympics and playing overseas in Europe or whatever the case may be, which guys do on a regular basis. I used to talk to Vladdy and Peja and Hito about this all the time. They not only played during the year and pretty much played all the games, they played overseas every year in the European Championships or the Olympics and everything else. And I used to when I asked them these type of questions, they would laugh at me. They would go, especially Peja. You know how Peja, when you ask him a question with that look he gives you, with that blank, and they were like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
They're like, "Stop it." You know what I mean? So I think it's a frame of mind. I think it's a mentality, and I think it's being abused right now by certain organizations in the NBA, and the Warriors are at the top of the list. All right, enough of that. Let's bring Ryan in Sacktown. Ryan, can you go? Can you do 82 post-game shows a year, or is that you need a couple of days off?
I can do 82 post games and 82 pre-shows and halftimes. Let's go. Let's go.
Youth.
Ryan's a
Jerry.
warrior.
Youth, Jerry. That's youth right there for you, Jerry. Oh my God. All right, so Ryan, what do you think tonight? This goes into the category of no, you need to win this game. The Kings are better than Toronto. I heard what Jerry said. He makes some good points about some of their players, Siakam, Van Vliet. We get that, but the Kings are a better team. Period.
The Kings are a better team, but don't discount Toronto. Toronto's had some close games with very good teams lately. They've just come up on the short end of the stick. The Kings only won by 1 in Toronto the first time they saw them this year. But I think ultimately tonight they keep the momentum going from Monday night and they pull out a close win. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, though.
First of all, I'm not concerned about Jerry getting too many rest days, Connor, because Jerry has earned his rest days, okay? He doesn't need to be on YouTube more. Jerry has gotten to a point in his life where he has earned his rest days. So no, we don't want to overwork Jerry, okay? We don't want to overutilize him.
Well, that's not possible, because you're right. I pretty much, that's one of the things you get at a certain age, and I don't mind getting old, but my body just throws a fit about it.
Yeah.
So just one of those things.
How many miles you go out and walk on a day like today?
It probably varies from 3 to 4.
That's
I
great.
kind of depends a little bit on my mood, anywhere from 45 to 75 minutes, and depend a little bit on, today I went good because I was listening to Rolling Stones and they got me going, got me perked up a little bit.
There you go.
And,
wow.
Sometimes in a bad mood, I might listen to Adele or something like that. And then so, you just don't last as long. So I need a little perking up, and the Rolling Stones got me going. And
you can always listen to Grant's Rants. That will get you going on your walks,
Yeah. Well, it does. I have to say that's a lot of times, keeps, and sometimes I'll listen to them and kind of keeps me from sleeping well. So I got to quit getting your rants before I go to bed. I got to do it earlier.
Oh my God. Hey, want to thank everyone for being here on the stream, and hit the like button if you can. If you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe. We would appreciate that. All right. So tonight, and we keep on talking about this, consistency. I'm starting to see a little bit more consistency. I mean, the NBA is a game of runs, so I think we got to be and acknowledge that you're not going to just play 48 minutes of the same way every game. You have rotations, you have benches, you also have all-stars on other teams that get hot. But Ryan, as we do break down here, and we're now past the halfway point, I would like to see the lulls that the Kings have been showing to get shorter. I do think that's important as we start heading to the finish line here.
Yeah, absolutely, Grant. It has to. That's a sign of a playoff team.
Yeah.
That's how you have to be successful. When you talk about seeing the lulls and you're seeing a little more consistency, I'm seeing that too on defense. We're seeing a quarter, maybe two each game where they're playing a little bit better. Definitely the second half on Monday was excellent, and that's what I'm really paying attention to.
Yeah, I want to see more of that. Again, I don't want to discount what I saw on Monday, but Memphis to me mailed that game in, particularly at the end of the game, and they didn't have their best players on the floor. But I'm with you on that, Jerry. What do you see right now as one area of this team that you would like to see get better before you get to April?
Well, I mean, I do think, turnovers and rebounds. I mean, I think we're seeing some progress, but, getting the ball back is a key for this team. And because all teams are now shooting so many long balls, there's long rebounds. So, you really need to react better. So, and I don't think the Kings have been as good at that as they should be with the small athletic team that they are. So I think that could get better. The one thing I did like about the Memphis game Monday was the defense got tough down crunch time, and they just took over the game. And you're right. I mean, no Adams, no John Morant. That was a big loss for them. But that was one of the weirdest games, though, when you think about it. I mean, the Kings that first quarter, 10 straight threes. I'm not sure you could watch the Kings tonight in layup drill. They'll make 10 straight in layup drill.
Not less patience on
it
the
was
floor.
an amazing performance,
Yeah.
And then typical NBA in the third quarter, Memphis catches up and goes ahead, and then gets beat 30. So that's the NBA, and that's why it's so exciting. But you're right, just a little more consistency on defense, on rebounding, value in the ball. This team can win a lot of games.
Yeah. Well, they are winning a lot of games, and they hit the road after this. And for those of you that have joined us on a fairly regular basis, tonight begins our next stretch of 5 games. So let's have some fun here on this show, and we're doing this off the top of our head. In the last 5 games, really the blemish was Philadelphia. So Ryan and I, Jerry, gave the Kings a 5-game grade that they just completed. And because of the Philadelphia loss, and I'll read off the games for you here just so we have them fresh on our mind. Because of the Philadelphia loss, I gave them on a scale of 1 to 100 about an 88 or an 89. That would be a B plus. Call me a tough grader, call me whatever you want. But they went 4-1, okay, in those 5 games. They beat San Antonio 132 to 119. They beat the Lakers 116 to 111. They beat Oklahoma City 118 to 113. They lost to the Sixers without Embiid and without Harden, and then they beat Memphis 133 to 100. Now I'm nitpicking here a little bit, okay? All of those teams that they played were without key guys. All right. Now that's part of the NBA. You play who's on the schedule.
Yep.
But that Philadelphia game, to me, prevents me, just me. And I'm a tough teacher, Jerry, but I'm giving the Kings a B plus for those 5 games. So Ryan, let's start with you and then we'll go to Jerry. Ryan, what grade you giving them for the last 5 games?
Sure. For the last 5 games, I'm going to give them like a 91%, an A minus.
A minus.
The reason I'm giving them an A minus is they went down to LA and they beat the Lakers without Sabonis on short notice. They rallied together, something that we weren't sure how the Kings would do without him, right? We've only seen it a few times, but through that 5 stretch of games, they beat the Thunder. Very, very well played game, and they only had 1 bad half of basketball. So yes, is the Philadelphia loss concerning? It is, but 2 bad quarters out of 5 games, that's still a 91% to me.
Okay, I'm fair with that. Most people are agreeing with you. Most people on the stream are giving them an A minus. Jerry, what about you?
Well, I'd give them a solid B, but I, the Philly game bothered me a lot, as you pointed out. I mean, no Embiid, no Harden. That's their 2 best guys. And Philly's a good team, as we saw otherwise. But when basically Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris but they're guys that really stepped up there. That shouldn't have impact on games. So I'd probably be a little harsher on that. the fact they won these other games, that's terrific. It's like a lot of people wouldn't be too thrilled about them beating Oklahoma City, but I've watched them. That's an emerging team.
Yes, it
They're
is.
getting better, and they're
Yes, it
going to be a
is.
tough out on the road a little more. And they've got some nice young players. But yeah, I'm probably a little more concerned about the Philly loss than most people.
I was too. All right, so here's your next 5-game stretch. Toronto tonight, 2 games in Minnesota. Then you're at San Antonio. You're at Indiana. Indiana without Tyrese Halliburton obviously is, I mean, you want to talk about a guy that's really valuable to their team. And again, I'm just saying, we're going to go back to the trade. I don't know if the Kings would be as bad as Indiana's been if they lose Sabonis, but they're going to be in the neighborhood. So we keep on talking about the health of this team, Jerry. You see how important Halliburton is to the Pacers. We would be saying the same thing if Sabonis was off the floor for that period of time.
Well, I think we would. No question about it. I mean, both guys are really keys. They different positions, but they're just as valuable differently.
Yep.
And of course, without Halliburton, I think they've only won one game. They lost 7 in a row until they won the other night. And certainly, the Kings fans don't even want to think about the thought of no Sabonis. So, it's one of those we've said
Yep.
before. I mean, if you want to get a really good player, you generally have to give up a really good player.
They'd also have trouble if Fox gets hurt, because what Fox has been doing, Ryan, in the fourth quarter has been amazing this year. He has been one of the best clutch players in the league this year. That means fourth quarter. They call it the hero stat. And he's right up there. He's right up there at the very top of the list.
No doubt, Grant. And even when he's not scoring in the fourth quarter, he is making plays for his teammates. And that's why things are opening up for Trey Lyles. That's why things are opening up for Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray. So they would be in trouble without De'Aaron. Hopefully he can stay on the floor just like Sabonis.
Jerry, what do you think of Go ahead.
Yeah, he's the guy that can break defenses down. I mean, he does. He's really got a lot of talent that way. I mean, he can break defenses down, get that mid-range shot, and as Ryan pointed out, that creates some open opportunities outside with the three-point shooters, and that he's a real key, especially in the fourth quarter. You can see that he knows it's his time to go get shots or find shots for his teammates, and he's doing a great job.
Hey, we are brought to you by New Works Plumbing of Sacramento, locally owned for over 20 years. New Works has a fix for you. Just go to sacserviceplumbing.com or call the number on your screen. And remember, they're available around the clock 24/7. That's New Works Plumbing, sacserviceplumbing.com, or the number on your screen. So it's the Kings and the Raptors coming up for you tonight. And then the Kings hit the road for a couple of ball games. And we will be with you tonight at halftime. We will be with you tonight after the game. We're looking forward to it. And we're going to be joined tonight by Christopher and Amir. And again, we thank you so much for those of you that have taken the time out of your schedule to follow us, whether it's live or you go back and watch it at your leisure. We greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much. Jerry, how's your other podcast going? Everything going all right with that?
It's heading the right direction. We do, as I mentioned, the old-fashioned 3. Tune in on YouTube or Potbean, whatever, with Whitey Gleason and the Phantom. We have a blast. You don't tune in if you want to get great knowledge. We're like, I always say, we're like 3 guys sitting around the bar shooting the ball. So, if you enjoy that kind of thing, and
that's great.
It's kind of like I used to make fun of Bob Cousy and Tommy Heinsohn when they were doing the Celtics games. I mean, listen to them as color analysts. I enjoyed it, but they were just like shooting the bull,
Right.
like 2 buddies having a drink at the bar watching the game. But so a little different atmosphere, but I'm having a ball. And if a lot of people enjoy it, that's great. If you don't, that's okay too.
It's very, you don't see a lot of people promote their show and go, but if you're looking for a show with a lot of knowledge, you probably.
No, it's like we're just basically three old fans, and we get off. We don't always we talk about a lot of stuff in the past. Keep good players from the 70s and 80s and different things that because I think sometimes they've been forgotten, and we like to bring them back up. And go down memory lane once in a while.
So what's
Of course,
people are asking?
it's
What's it
hard for me to
called?
go down memory lane when my memory's fading.
So people are asking, what's it called, and what days do you do it?
We do it on Tuesday and Thursdays, and like I say, it's just old fashioned three. I know you. That's all about all I know about it.
Okay.
That's how you get it, and we are going to go to 3 days a week starting next week, which will be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So, we're going to start doing a 10 o'clock on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So, get a chance, give it a.
Yeah. Are you able to handle that physically, Jerry, and mentally? That's a lot of work for you.
I don't know. That is a real question. I mean, I've told them if it gets to be a pain in the butt, I'll quit. So, but it's it's fun and it's handy. We do it in a studio that's less than a mile from here, so I can handle that, and of course enjoy working with you and Ryan. So like Mrs. Reynolds said, if you can't do 4 or 5 hours a week, it's pretty pitiful. And I have to agree. I think that's probably, but that may be my limit.
Oh my God. Hey, 4 or 5 hours a week, huh? Is that what Mrs. Reynolds
Hey,
is?
I got to tell you, we were, as old people do, we were talking about, mortality and stuff. And I was talking about cremation. I said, when I pass, I'd like to be cremated. And damn, she didn't go, said, maybe I'll get an appointment Tuesday of next week. I said, my God, let's hold off a little bit. So you see what I'm dealing with, right?
You guys absolutely kill me. You know what? You just can't make this stuff up. I'm telling you that right now. Jerry, you got a birthday coming up this weekend. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Be number 79, and just better have them than not. That's
hey, Ryan,
I'd say about that.
Ryan, I never forgot Jerry. I never forgot Jerry's birthday because it was my wife's birthday too. But what we used to do on TV every year, we were always on the road on January 29th, and we would have to spend 2 minutes saying happy birthday to our wives on TV because I swear we were on the road, just like the Kings are going to be on the road for this January 29th. They're on the road every year on January 29th.
Oh my gosh, that's
seemed like it. Sure, it was probably 80% for sure. It seemed like all the
time. It really was. I'll never forget that. All right, Jerry, thank you. Jerry, have a good week, buddy, and thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Always enjoyed it. So have a good post game and everything, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds
Thanks,
great.
Jerry. Happy birthday, bud.
Yep, happy birthday, Jerry. I'm not kidding you, man. It was literally he goes, hey, I need to say happy birthday to my wife, or I need to say, Jerry, happy birthday to you, and then I would have to say and happy birthday to my wife, and then Jerry would say thank you very much, and then when his anniversary came, Jerry's anniversary was on December 23rd. I mean, December 23rd. Okay, I don't recall maybe other than once or twice not having a game on December 23rd. I really mean that. The Kings have a game every single year on December 23rd. And we would have to, he'd be talking about his anniversary, and we would normally on the road too on December 23rd, every single year. Then the birthday come, I go, Jerry, happy birthday. And he goes, yeah, we're on the road again. I go, yeah, happy birthday to my wife. It was funny. Oh my gosh.
So you're his default birthday candlelight dinner then.
Oh my gosh, it was. All right, buddy. We'll see you at halftime. All right.
Sounds good, Grant.
All right. Thank you very much. And also, thanks to Bennett's of Roseville and Bennett's of Sacramento, with the location coming soon at Blue Oaks Town Center in Rockland. I love their food. Their Sunday brunch at the Roseville location's great. Brian was talking about he's been there. I love the steaks. The bone-in prime rib is great. I've had the porterhouse. The New York, their cuts of beef are phenomenal. I think you're going to love the menu, the atmosphere. They're huge King supporters. Check them out. Bennett's in Roseville, on Eureka, or in Sacramento on the corner of Howe and Fair Oaks. And look forward to that new location coming to Rockland as well. That's Bennett's. You're going to love it. All right. And we'll be back with you at halftime right here on YouTube. Make it a fabulous fabulous rest of the afternoon. And I'm getting ready for my show over on Listen App. Hope you can join me. I'll be on there in about 20 minutes. Thank you very much again for joining us right here. If you don't like that.